Welcome to another Telltale Books video. I'm Greg, and I'm talking again about the 60th anniversary issue of New Worlds magazine, which I've held up and shown many times already just recently. This will be the final story I talk about. It is the Michael Moorcock story, Wigan. Wigan is part of his Jerry Cornelius series, and I'm going to get myself in trouble here because I haven't read much Moorcock. When I started my Read Everything by Michael Moorcock project, I had never read any Michael Moorcock. And I have started that project, but I've only read his first earliest two stories, which were very amateurish and written in the 50s. Now, the Jerry Cornelius series, he got started in the later 1960s. I think 65 was when the first one was published in New Worlds. And what I know of it, since I've never read anything else from the Jerry Cornelius series, what I know of it is that it's about a secret agent character. Secret agent, superhero, James Bond type. That was a very popular subject in the 60s, mainly because of the success of the James Bond novels and movies. You had a lot of copycat spy thrillers in both books and movies. And you even had books and movies that spoofed them, that were satires on that whole spy genre. And Michael Moorcock joined into the satire group with the Jerry Cornelius series. These are written satirically. They're not to be taken too seriously. At least that's what I gather from reading Wigan. Um, I'm struggling with this one because without ever having read any other Jerry Cornelius stories, and probably the most famous one is the book, The Final Program, which was actually filmed as a movie back in the 1960s. And I have no experience with any of that stuff. I haven't read the book, never saw the movie. Um, reading Wigan, I felt lost. I think I wouldn't have been so lost with it if I had read some of the other Jerry Cornelius stories, although I did go back and I got a PDF of that issue of New Worlds where the very first Jerry Cornelius story appeared. And I read the first couple of paragraphs of it, and it's just as difficult to understand there. Moorcock is kind of experimenting with things. In Wigan, he's mixing these excerpts from real world articles, and at the end he credits the articles and the authors and thanks them for letting him use pieces. Things mostly about the politics going on with the Ukraine war, but that political story, which is current in real world history, has very little to do with what's happening with Jerry Cornelius and his group of people. They come back to England after being on the Black Sea. They have descriptions of warships that are derelict in the Black Sea. Come back to England. London is mostly underwater. Over the entire earth, it's always raining. So there's definitely a global ecological catastrophe. Reminded me a lot of Ballard's The Drowned World. So Moorcock may have consciously been referencing J.G. Ballard here. And they come back to England to go to what's left of St. Paul's in London for signing a treaty. Not really sure just who all is involved in that and why it's being signed and what all led to that. It's got to have some connection with the Ukrainian war, I'm thinking. I'm not sure. It's really, really confusing, really not clear to me anyway. Reading it, I was lost with this story, which um, normally I would say the story is just too jumbled, just too mixed up, too difficult to follow. Don't bother with it. But the fact that this is the latest in a very long series of stories, I gotta think that if I had some background with the rest of the series, that I would understand it better. And so I gotta go back and get back on my Michael Moorcock path and go through everything and read the earlier Jerry Cornelius books and come back to this story and see what I think there. Um, Overall, I thought it was interesting, even though I was lost and confused. I liked what he was doing. I liked how he was presenting information. I liked how um, it wasn't just your standard thing. So that's kind of where I stand with this story. I'm kind of lost and a bit confused and not sure what's going on here. And for that reason, I can't at this time recommend the story because, well, other people might get it a lot more easily than I did. My concern is that the person who has no experience with Michael Moorcock would sit down and try and read this story and have the same experience I'm having, where it's just not what you expected. It's not what you were thinking. It's not getting through to you. You're just lost. So that's all I can say about this one, at least at this time. Like I say, I should once I read the rest of the Jerry Cornelius series, maybe I can come back to this story, give it another look, and maybe I'll get a lot more out of it. So if I guess I would recommend this to a diehard Michael Moorcock fan, someone who is very familiar with Jerry Cornelius, because now these Jerry Cornelius novels that were written back in the 60s and 70s, I came across more than one instance of somebody saying it's among the top 10 new wave books. So a lot of people have very high regard for this and feel it's an excellent work, or at least the Jerry Cornelius and in general is an excellent work, if not Wigan specifically. So I would caution you, learn more about Moorcock, learn more about Jerry Cornelius, and then give this story a try. Don't just dive into this without any prior experience with Michael Moorcock or his Jerry Cornelius series like I did here. So have you read Wigan? What did you think? Do you have anything you can help to clear the confusion? Leave it in the comments, please. I very much would appreciate that. And otherwise, like the video, subscribe to our channel. Come on back. I'm going to go back to Sojan and read that for my next Michael Moorcock video. It'll be the second of his Sojan stories. And come back for that and all the other great stories that I talk about here on Telltale Books.